pressure rinse bars strike the moving lychee layer. Water sheeting off instantly. White light flesh appearing more frequently. The fruit stays dominant for canned lychees.
Gentle dump onto the conveyor. Lychees spill in a controlled wave, spheres bouncing, once then settling.
Pressing bay rinse begins as fine mist wets lychee skins, droplets pooling and running off. The fruit remains centered before deeper processing for canned lychee and syrup.
High-pressure rinse bars strike the moving lychee layer, water sheeting off instantly. The fruit remains the hero for canned lychee and syrup.
LED sorting lane highlights subtle color differences as lychees pass under bright panels. Sensors blur behind, fruit stays centered.
Second wash stage begins with warmer water, faint steam rising while lychees glisten. The fruit remains dominant for canned lychee and syrup.
Final rinse with filtered jets makes lychees sparkle, droplets flicking off in slow arcs. Fruit stays the only focus for canned lychee and syrup. Laboratory spreader spreads lychees into a single layer, repeating red spheres forming neat lanes. The pattern sets up peeling for canned lychee and syrup.
Gentle cracking rollers split skins with soft snaps, revealing brief flashes of white flesh inside. The transformation toward canned lychee and syrup begins.
Peel opening conveyor shows skins loosening like petals, white lychee flesh appearing more frequently. The fruit stays dominant for canned lychee and syrup.
B1. Rinse on peeled flesh. Purified water flows over white leaves, droplets sliding across smooth surfaces.
pit removal shows the seeds sliding free, leaving a perfect hollow in the white lychee. The flesh stays glossy for canned lychee and syrup.
Seed chute carries shiny brown seeds away, while pitted white lychees continue on the main belt. The fruit remains the focus for canned lychee and syrup.
Gentle rinse after pitting swirls white lychees in shallow water, hollows visible like small cups. Calm motion supports canned lychee and syrup.
Antioxidant dip with citric bath with citric acid, vitamin C, coats less.
E1, rinse mist #2 lightly coats lychees again, droplets forming and sliding into the hollow centers. The fruit remains the hero for canned lychee and syrup. B1, LED color check confirms uniform bright white flesh, with lychees filling the foreground. A green indicator flashes for canned lychee and syrup. E1, air knives remove surface water, leaving a clean sheen on white lychees without moving them out of view. Ready for next steps of canned lychee and syrup. Another peel variation shows a machine gently separating red skins, but white flesh remains the main subject. The line keeps producing for canned lychee and syrup.
Pitting variation uses rotating cups, seeds eject smoothly while white flesh stays intact and visible. Precision supports canned lychee and syrup.
This channel reveals hollows filling with water momentarily, then draining as lychees move onward. The fruit remains the hero for canned lychee and syrup.
Antioxidant mist settles like a fine veil over white lychees, sheen appearing, then fading. Color protection for canned lychee and syrup.
Macro on clean, hollow edges shows smooth curves and tiny surface pores. The camera glides with the fruit for canned lychee and syrup.
Sorting station removes a slightly bruised lychee, keeping it visible as it diverts. The main lane remains pristine for canned lychee and syrup.
Final rinse pass again, water curtain shimmering while lychees remain sharply in focus. Cleanliness repeats for canned lychee and syrup.
Air dry tunnel gently dries surfaces, leaving a uniform sheen on white flesh. The fruit stays centered for canned lychee and syrup.
Gentle tumble drum rolls lychees to equalize moisture without obscuring the fruit.
Grain mesh again, droplets falling beneath while lychees glide in a single layer. The camera stays fruit first for canned lychee and syrup.
Lane splitter creates 4 narrow streams, each a neat chain of white lychees. The geometry frames canned lychee in syrup ingredients.
B1. Final B1 inspection light passes over lychees, creating regular highlights across smooth flesh.
Macro on lychees in cups shows glossy surfaces and clean hollows, no discoloration. The fruit remains the hero for canned lychee and syrup.
Final rinse mist over staged lychees adds a last clean sheen, droplets pooling briefly then draining. The fruit stays centered for canned lychee and syrup.
One air knife sweep clears droplets off the lychee surfaces while they remain upright and visible, ready for thermal steps of canned lychee and syrup.
Top-down belt views tight grids of cheese moving toward blanching, hollows only repeating rows.
Macro detail of smooth flesh edges, tiny pores catching light as the belt moves slowly. Pure fruit focus continues for canned lychee and syrup. Transition shot shows lychees approaching the blanching zone, fruit still dominating the frame. The next phase begins for canned lychee and syrup.
Gentle blanching bath carries lychees through warm water, tiny bubbles clinging to white flesh and releasing slowly.
Cooling rinse immediately follows, water shimmering over lychees as they exit the blancher. The white fruit stays centered for canned lychee and syrup.
E2. Can wash begins. Empty cans appear briefly in the background while lychees fill the foreground lane. Fruit remains the hero for canned lychee and syrup.
toward entry shows baskets sliding into a chamber, steam rising while cans stay visible. Sterilization begins for canned lychee in syrup.
B2. Air dry rollers spin cans gently, droplets shedding in smooth patterns. Clean finish supports canned lychee in syrup.
Line merge makes cans clink softly as they align, reflections sweeping over labels. The rhythm stays calm for canned lychee and syrup.
B2. Forklift carry keeps the camera close to carton prints and product cues, avoiding empty warehouse shots. The palette remains clearly canned lychee and syrup.
Feel and cool rhythm continues as cans roll under cooling mist, labels intact and shiny. The flow remains canned lychee and syrup.
White lychees look bright and uniform in clear syrup, preserved color intact. The interior confirms canned lychee and syrup.
Lid code verification macro shows printed date code, then pans to a river of identical cans. Traceability supports canned lychee and syrup.
B3. Carton integrity check presses carton edges, while nearby cans remain visible in lane. Packaging QA for canned lychee and syrup.